All right, welcome. So I've had a few people ask me how I did the animation look in Omniverse because it looked so great, and I wanted to show you it's actually really simple. So what I've got here is they've got a scene. It's animated by Jody Prouse. It's really great animation and using the rig from iAnimate. So really nice of them to do that, and they shared the file for me. And so first thing you want to do if you want to get going is you want to obviously install Omniverse. In the beta, you can get in Exchange tab here, and there's a whole bunch of stuff to load. What we're going to use today is obviously the connector for Maya. I'd recommend getting the cache one as well because it just helps if you're going back in your scenes and stuff. It makes it quicker. And create. Create was the thing that we actually render it out and look at it in. So those are really all you need. There's a bunch more you can get. Of course, there's tons coming, and the beta is pretty cool, but definitely pick those up. Once you've installed the connector and you go into Maya, you'll see a little Omniverse um, menu here. And it's really as simple as basically the problem at this point is we need to turn this scene into a USD file. And there's a lot more you can do with it, connect it to different people and all that stuff. But in this scenario of just trying to get a playblast to look cool, we want to make our scene a USD file. So you can see I've already made a few of these, but just to do the process again, if I was to do, whatever we want to call this test, and you want to make sure you have different settings here. In this case, because we're bringing out our animation, you can do different things here, but prop will work totally fine. I'm going to hit export all. Obviously, it's very much like Maya. You can do it as you would expect, export different things, use the animation, the frame range from 1 to 318. Yep, that's right. And materials I'm going to keep. And I'm going to actually keep my cameras. So I don't have any lights in this scene, but I do have a shot camera. And so I'm going to hit go after I think that's all I need to do. So pretty straightforward. I hit export, and what will happen is it starts converting that to USD file, right? So as that's doing that, we can actually jump into create. It doesn't take too long. It's just going to crank through it. And honestly, this is something that you have to do once, and then once you're in create, it's fast. If you're working with Maya and you already got the USD plugin installed, you don't even need to do that. Just save as USD. So once we've converted that sucker over, we're going to end up going into create. And here we go. So in the launcher, under the library tab, create, I hit launch. And it's as simple as that, and it's going to load up. And ultimately, what we're going to try to do is take that playblast one and turn it into looking something like this. It looks pretty darn awesome, and when you see how easy this is, you're going to always want to do this with your playblast. So let's close that up. Create's launching here. And as I said, in that launcher tab, there's a bunch of stuff you can get. You can experiment with different ones. View is really nice, got some nice view for architectural stuff and skies and things. I was playing with Minecraft with my kids. You can convert and load Minecraft. Anyway, getting distracted, let's get in here and show you what we're doing. So we're in create, pretty straightforward canvas here. What I'm gonna do is get a new stage from template, and I'm gonna pick one of these, and it makes it super simple. So I'm gonna pick cloudy day, and really all that does is it just sets you up with a sky dome, right? And so you've got a nice sky dome of a city. In this case, this city is not really going to work for our dog shot. If you remember in Maya, the dog was sitting on a green ground there. So if we go here and in the dome, sky dome light, you can pick a different file path, or you can browse over here if you'd rather, but I'm just going to go here because it's simple. File, I'm going to pick my local host. Whoop, no, don't connect anything here, but NVIDIA brings you a bunch of examples, which is really cool. And so under assets, skies, there's a whole bunch, a ton of them, right? You can go into different studios and storms and all the rest of it. For us, I'm just going to take something simple and clear and grassy. This one kind of looks like an interesting one. Let's try that. Yeah, that'll work fine. So we're just going to pop chase into this. Now you can see there's a gray square here, which we don't necessarily need. So yeah, there's a ground cube. I'm just going to kill that. I don't need that. I don't need the distant light. I really just need the sky dome, and it's all set up for me nice and easy. So at this point, we're ready to go. So just like Maya, what we're going to do is we're going to add a reference like you would with bring it in. And the nice way to doing this is if I add my reference in my dog tutorial here, here he is. And if I bring him in, right? Or no, it's this one. if I add the dog in, the new one that we just exported, what you're going to get is basically, because it's a reference, I can tune stuff, and I can grab my dude here and frame in so you can actually see him. You can tune different things like textures, lights, whatever, and the reference will just stay there. And if you need to, for instance, update your animation, all you need to do is go into Maya, change your animation, save it as your USD file, and when you come back in here and you hit reopen, will be ready. So actually, well, let's hit save, and we'll call this something so that it makes sense, right? So we'll just call this dog tutorial, hit save, and I already made one, so it's like, are you sure you want to do that? And like, yep, we do. And so now the next time I just have to hit reopen, and it will update the USD file and through the reference, and we're good to go. Now the next thing you'll notice is Chase is black. I did this with some different examples from like TurboSquid, etc., and it just works fine. In this particular case, it didn't bring in the path to the texture. So if I click this little guy and get the orange one, and click again, I'll select by object mode. So this is kind of like the whole world, and this is object mode. And on Chase, if I hit the little shader ball, what I'll notice is that this texture path is not pointing to the right one. It's as simple as that. So if I go into my computer, and I think I bookmarked here roughly, dog play dead, there we go. And if I pick the color map, now he's looking pretty good, right? And you'll notice that like his collar and stuff aren't, and if I scroll down here, there's the different ones here. It's as simple as that. So going to I, folder, color map, and just because I had a bunch of these all on different bits, like his collar, etc., I just have to repoint the map. I'm sure there's a better way to do that. Again, I'm learning along with you, so if you guys have tips and know more, by all means share. But that's as simple as that. So Chase is looking pretty good already. And now we want to get into the fun stuff. So if I hit play, he's obviously moving and doing his thing. And you'll notice that the timeline thing will just hide and unhide depending where your mouse is. So that's cool. The other thing I noticed is because I brought in as a reference, it doesn't update the timeline to the end because the world itself already had a timeline. So I'm just going to type in my time length here, and I'm good to go with that. So there you go. There's this whole shot. The next thing I'm going to do is probably start lighting them, right? Because I think we're good to go. And the lighting is, honestly, it's really simple. So if I switch this to path traced, already the sky dome is going to be doing a bunch of cool stuff. And there's my shot camera. So let's bring in a couple of lights just to make it a bit more interesting, right? Because he's walking around doing his thing, but it's kind of flat, right? And so if I go and I create a disc light, it's going to make this gigantic disc light for us. I'm just going to bring it over here and bring it around and sort of give him a bit of an uplight effect going on. Maybe make this a little bit smaller, something like that. So he's got his uplight, and then just so we can see, obviously this is a bit nuts. So let's make it blue or something so we can really see it, right? Super blue, sure. And maybe take this down to something more reasonable, like 3000 or something like that. So now we got blue, and right about now already you're in a scenario of maybe you want to start lighting from the actual camera so you can see what you're doing. I'm just going to call this one blue because we're going to give him not just one light, because it's going to not look super good if it's just flat. So let's just duplicate this and sort of give him and Control D to duplicate, by the way. And I'm just going to move this one over. Oh, come on. Yeah, W for move and E for rotate and all that fun stuff. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to give him a bit more of a cartoony kind of studio fun lighting. So let's give him sort of a down light, maybe here. Maybe to make this one a little bit bigger. And just so we can see it, let's make it like bright pink. And then let's switch to the camera here and see what it looks like. Now, right away, you're going to notice it's kind of blurry. This kind of freaked me out the first time I did too. Right now in the beta, you have to go in here and dial in your focal distance, which is kind of neat. So actually, let's change this back to real time just so we can see it faster. But even in real time, you can mess with things like lenses, right? So here's a focal length, and if you know about your cameras, it's a distance to a sphere of focus, right? So I'm going to bring that out, but you can mess with like how sharp the background and the drop off and all that stuff is, which is pretty crazy, right? So that's not bad. But you're gonna notice a few things. So one, obviously the lighting is crazy bright and everything, we can tune that. But two, he's shiny, and three, like this color's speckled, and so there's a few things we want to just tweak a little bit. So let's get in on Chase himself, and let's start with that color because it was what I talked about. So you can, rather than smoothing stuff in Maya and doing all that, so if you look here in Maya, you can see Chase is pretty low resed. And I did that for animating, and that's totally fine, like scrubbing around and stuff. But you probably want to upres him. So rather than doing the smooth groups and everything here, and let's just close Maya because we don't need it anymore, you can do that all here. So you can grab this collar and scroll down just a little bit, and there's a refinement tab. You turn that on, and let's just make it a sub D of a Catmull Clark, and already it's nice and smooth. And if you wanted to go crazy, you could turn that up to a 1. And similarly, like Chase is already looking pretty decent because he's got the Catmull Clark going on. But if I just turn that on, it just looks a little bit nicer. So let's do that. You want to make Chase look cool. Okay, super simple. We're ready to do our lighting. Obviously he's shiny, so if you click on him, click on this ball, it takes you to your shader, and you might want to, crank up the roughness a little bit so that it's not so super shine, right? So let's try like a 0.8 or something like that, where it's a bit more soft. And specular, of course, will influence that as well. And then the last thing I want to show you is a couple little tricks here. So on the Rtx settings, I'm just gonna hit reset so it's the way it is when you get it. Okay, so it's all reset. I'm on real time, right? Real time. This is really quick, but if I go into my lighting, and the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna say use my dome light, and that's using the actual sky dome light, right? So it's been optimized for speed. This is something that you want to turn on if you're using your sky dome. You can see the difference in the lighting already is quite drastic. I don't have anything reflective, so there's no point putting in reflections, but you can. The other thing here is the max roughness. So again, it clamps out for speed. If I put this up to fully, might as well, because it's so fast, it doesn't matter. Anyway, that's something that I like to make sure you do. And the other thing you can do here is caustics and trans. I don't have any of this stuff in this scene, but you can mess with, for instance, like turning on the GI here. So you can see almost no difference. It's really sort of super subtle, but there is some bounce and fill going on. So you can turn that on. It's, again, it's so fast, it doesn't matter. So might as well keep the quality up. And by default, there's ambient light. And in this case, I'm just going to turn it down because, you know, do I want the ambient light or not? It's up to you. And so you can hit these little blue buttons if you ever want to reset that. So something to be aware of. Sometimes you want that on, sometimes you don't. In this case, I'm just going to turn it to 0 because I'm just going to light it myself and make it look good. Okay, so he's probably looking pretty decent already. So if we go back to the camera, and again, if you switch back and forth, so this is path traced, right? Fully crazy render. And if I hit play, it'll drop down a little bit, and it's doing some cool AI denoising and stuff. But when you let it go, it just settles in really nice, and my focus distance obviously a little soft there, but looks pretty cool. But the crazy thing for me is the real time is just as fast, and in shots like this, it must just keep it there, and it renders super quick, really fast. The last thing I didn't do on my real time one is you'll notice a couple little spots and the little tiny differences from the path trace ones. So if you take this enabled sampled light and turn that on, it'll use that same sort of thing. And look at that, just cleans it right up and it's super nice. And again, this is real time. Like you can scrub and play and like you're good to go. So, I mean, other than just changing the light color now and making it look a little better, we're already done. So that's pretty cool. My disc blue, well, let's make it an orange or something just to contrast the blue. So you can do some pretty crazy stuff here, right? Like if we make it really nice orange and you get something cool going on there, you can take your blue one and crank it up a little bit. You can do whatever you like, right? So I'm not gonna get too carried away there. The other thing I wanted to show you though, just while you're here and you're looking, is some stuff I stumbled on. So under this local host that comes with it, under NVIDIA, remember we showed you the skies, but right beside it, I saw vegetation. I was like, hang on, what's vegetation? And so I'm just gonna pop back to my perspective camera so we can move around a little bit. And check this out. This is where it gets crazy. So if I load up my shrubs and stuff, like, okay, there's trees and palm trees, not really going to work for this scene, but maybe I don't want just a pure green cartoon background. Like it was fine for a play blast, but with the background, maybe I can do something cool here. So if I pick in the shrubs here, something that matches this, like, I don't know, maybe let's drag this guy in. You just drag it in and immediately it's there. It's crazy. And you can see it's lying on its side, right? It's massive. And so lying on its side, you gotta rotate around X. So let's do minus 90. There we go. And just shrink it a little bit. It's kind of crazy. Bring them in. And so there's obviously you can do this and bring in whatever you want. You can use your own stuff. You got stuff from somewhere else, that's totally fine. But they've given you a bunch of examples already, so might as well make use of them. And by the way, they look fantastic. So like that grass, fine, whatever. If I grab this back to world space, I can select the grass, Control D, right? Just a duplicate like Maya. Move it over here, make it a smaller one. And it's like Maya, you can grab both of these guys, right? So I have two of them. I can grab them both. Control D, and now I got four, right? And like you can do all that stuff, right? So that grass is cool. I don't know. Let's grab this. What do you want? A fall one, short one? This tufty stuff kind of looks short, so let's grab a short one. Drop it in. Whoa, that's pretty cool. And you'll notice that it is massive. And again, it's just different scales. This particular one here, and you can see this thing, what I want to show you here is that he's pretty big for grass, right? But if we put him behind Chase and we look through the camera here, you notice how soft it's looking? Because obviously if I bring it closer, it's in focus, and it drops out of focus because of that focal distance that we did, right? And like this is just moving it. I'm not doing anything. It's just crazy how good this looks. So you can position this stuff, put it where you want. And obviously I don't want to kill his silhouette, but put it where you want and then dial in your focus to get it the way you'd like, right? So on the camera, there's these two settings, your f-stop, which will help you on the sort of the bumpers here, right? And the actual focus distance of where I'm focusing. So if you can think of this as sort of the fall off, and the other one as sort of exactly where you're focused to. So you can really dial in. See, those plants are really soft, but as Chase sort of steps forward, he's looking too soft because now he's uh, beyond that range, right? So you can dial that in what you like. So that's cool. Last thing I'm going to show you quickly, and then we'll do the cooking show thing where we jump in to show you the final result, is now that I've got grass and everything, this plane is starting to look not super good. So materials here, there's a base. Obviously you can do this in Substance or whatever you want. But what I found is there's a bunch of material already here. So I was just exploring and I found a bunch of carpets and I'm like, okay, well, I could make a plane here, plane, and it's literally on top of the green one. So let's just move it up slightly, 0.02. And So my plane here, I could make it, you know, whatever in these carpets, but this forest one kind of jumped out at me, obviously. So if I just drag that and drop it on the plane, it's going to pop in the forest, and then you can see that my other plane is still showing up. So you can go in here and the eyeball, just hide it quickly. Now my forest plane that I just brought in, this forest color is obviously just a little bit off. So you can mess with how much this albedo adds to it. And you can mess with either of these colors. You can tint it here, for instance, and like start making it more yellow and whatever you like. You know, obviously if I sort of dial it in, you can do that and then turn down the add and really sort of tune it to where you want. Now this is obviously a little bit too brown, whatever. Um, but my point here is definitely explore a little bit. There's a lot of cool stuff in here. And so what I'm gonna do is jump to the one that I had open before. Let's just hit save so that we can come back if we want to. But if I look at how I've sort of tuned that up, and watch how quick this loads, like boom, we're in, done. Oh, the last thing I didn't show you was creating a sound file. So on create audio sound, it's going to drop in a sound, and we've already done that here. But here's your sound file. Just browse to the wave, right? And flip these guys to linear and non-spatial. Spatial sound is like if you've got 360-degree sound and all that, like, you know, Adobe Atmos nonsense. I don't. It's just a lip sync file, and the attenuation it just works nicer and sounds better, obviously, in linear, because again, it's just a lip sync file. It's nothing crazy. So if I hit play now, it works great. And the last thing you need to do is export it to get the thing, and that's super simple. So if I go rendering movie capture, you give it a name like dog tutorial, right? Hit capture, and it's going to be done ridiculously fast. So it's, I would say it's probably faster than Playblast at this point. Depends on your scene. It's super fast. It's way faster than rendering it, and it looks fantastic. Again, you can mess with the lights and all the rest of it. And at the end of the day, there, it's already done. I didn't even finish my sentence. And if I go in here, there's my dog tutorials, and this is what it looks like. So pretty darn great, right? So I'll post this video on YouTube so you can check it out. I went through a lot of little things here. Again, you're gonna find that once you know this stuff, it's way quicker. You can obviously show and hide different types and get into a whole bunch of details. There's a bunch more I didn't cover, so definitely check out the videos. And NVIDIA's done a great job of teaching you all the different things. But it should be as simple as that. Export your USD, bring it over, bring it in, add some lights, hit render, right? So I hope that helped, and enjoy. Thanks.